This is the first for me. I'm streaming from Zoom. Um, I'm kind of curious about. Oh, see, that's not it. I'm gonna endeavor it. We're gonna do a little reading for the week ahead, July 6th to July 13th, thereabouts. Oh, look, there we are. So normally my patrons get ad-free first access, and I would say this might be a nice option for those broadcasts as a way to focus. I don't really read the comments at this point. Continuing to learn and adapt with online sharing. Anyway, if you are here live, hola, how are you? I'm MJ. I'm the founder of Ultra Love. Happy to be here with you. I'm a longtime yoga meditation teacher, and I read tarot professionally as well. I've been doing that for about 6 years. Ultra Love is a bit of a mission orientation, felt guided to share um, heart centered healing, emotional healing, the profundity of healing via love and compassion, having uber duber lots of compassion and empathy. And yet, as empathic humans, those discernment pieces around savior complex, not being in savior mode, not trusting people have the means to, look after themselves and or to find their way. And there's certainly something about transforming our own pain, transforming our own boundary issues, transforming our own sense of self to continue to shapeshift and ground into the sort of best perceived reality. And I was having some interesting thoughts, which I do think is in alignment with the Capricorn. The upcoming Capricorn full moon, I think, is July 10th and 11th. And how obviously the knowing of the self, right? And it's not intellectualizing thing, it's dropping really deeply into the body. Capricorn is an earth sign, and trusting the signals of the body with regards to having that self-compassion and awareness, and of course exacting boundaries with sharing and stuff like that. Divine guidance and loving clarity. I just had a little slip of the mind. Divine guidance and loving clarity. We have another huge transit happening with your Uranus is moving into Gemini, and that's an air sign. It's actually a mutable air sign as well, so we can expect a lot of I'm getting an image of like ideas spreading like wildfire, and our own ability to think. And this is also that shifting, I'm hearing a shifting of the narrative around AI and technology and how to be using the internet, technology, our devices, and obviously things like AI with as much like sort of heart centered discernment. And this is where our connection to our hearts is like truth. It's monumental, as a human being. So for years, and I had another teacher express this to me, but for years I've expressed this about a mind disconnected from the heart destroys its host, and to truly be present with our own feelings. So, yeah. And then I was having another awakening thought this morning around perception, and how in manifestation and law of attraction teachings, we use the expression, you're the creator of your own reality. And I do feel like I've touched on this before, but there's potential egoic entrapment with that kind of expression, and or arrogance, entitlement, things like that. Um, because we're not here alone, and we're not particularly like in control. And I, through taking massive leaps and risks in my own personal life, feeling called on even a spiritual level, and this is where people would, um, be able to discern spiritual ego and such things. But rather than it's you're the creator, you're like, why am I creating this? It's more about we're the perceiver, and every single one of us is a divine spark of creation, right? Like of the all that isness. And yeah, on a quantum level, absolutely, we're all connected. And yet we don't, it's not like I am the creator, and like we're all these like individual God source. I mean, like there is a divinity that we're all connected to. And yet it's because that, only again in my personal naive learning through experience life thus far, that's way too much responsibility to put on us. Why do we attract certain things? What are we, and like what, how is it that our perception is allowing that or attracting that, right? And so I can own my own perception and transform that perception within this great landscape of creation. And then on a kind of more just simple level, yeah, we are creators, human beings here, right? Like we can create rather than blindly consume, right? So and that is again with all these technologies and increasing awareness with how food affects us, how the media affects us, how different like materials affect us, where we are sourcing these materials, how we are resourcing, who owns what, like becoming more aware of certain enslavement systems that you could say only benefit the few. The more people can go, hold on, do I really need that? When we become more authentic in our creative capacity, we're not such blind consumers. We become more self-aware through that creativity. And I would even go so far to say it's through our creative expressions as well, and our permissioning of self to have joy and a sense of freedom and all these things that helps us to disengage and disentangle things that would have bound us in the past, like different addictions and yeah, right, that keep us in a loop of a certain bass tone that more than likely spiritually and or intuitively we're being called to release it, right? And that's also with regards to human interactions and behavior, and the way we siphon and or hook in and or like try to get attention from one another. Okay, so I am going to pull cards here. So Capricorn, full moon, man, oh, this year, what a transformational year. And I gotta say too, I obviously did a vulnerable share a couple days ago, and even from that, like so much insight has come through and clarity around being shapeshifted via emotional depth and awareness. And the more we embrace those depths, those darknesses, those things that seem like, woe is me, why is this happening? We can really, because it's all patterns, right? Patterns within patterns. I did a share with that the other day. It's all patterns. So the more we can acknowledge these patterns again through our owning our perception. Why in my beingness, not that I'm making this happen and I'm to blame, or because there again there's the egoic function of inferiority and superiority, which can make us feel like we're going to trap ourselves in certain emotional densities versus what am I, how am I, and how can I perceive it differently, right? Because I think a lot of, especially with the Uranian transit through Taurus, this is really shaking up that attachment to a hard, fixed material world, and or this conceptual framework of this is how it is. Those are the powers that be. You're never gonna do it, or you're always gonna be that way, or blah blah blah. Blah. Right? So having to shake up, because I know on a certain level for me too, there's been a powerful attachment to a certain ideation, and because my path is in earnest, it's like the moment my mind will get fixated on something, on how it has to be, or this is what I want, boosh. It's like, oh, you think so? You're like, "Ah." And then after the hurdle of processing the pain, there's transformation. There's true liberation from that conceptual framework. And that's a perception within self, right? That's um really found by doing the inner work and being with self. Like we are all our own saviors in truth, via our connection to divine source or all that isness, whatever words you want to use. You're your own savior, and that is all. And even when we insert ourselves and we think we're helping or fixing or saving, there's a distortion usually. That's just my own perception of things, right? That truly, truly, all people, that often it comes from an underlying wounding that makes us think we want to save or we want to heal or we want to do this. But that's usually some kind of projection, right? Which is how we get entangled in certain codependent structures. Okay, dokie, let's look at the cards. What cards are we going to get for the Capricorn full moon? If you are here live with me, holla, holla, holla. Nice to be here with you. Divine guidance and love and clarity for these amazing creators. So, my patrons, the top tier patrons, get access to the Be the Change courses. You're obviously welcome to actually just buy one of the courses, which I think are pretty affordable. I might put the prices down at some point. That's another thing about the Uranus and Gemini. Online learning and engagement is only going to pick up speed. And again, there's going to be a lot of fast, bosh moving energy and intellectualizing, and more people accessing. Because again, I remember hearing something about the perception of God is just our ability to see from like all different points of view. So like that's a higher intelligence versus this is how it is. We are in control. You are the slaves. Like these sort of weird three-dimensional um sort of deceptive, manipulative, rather than a shared resource, right? Of a global paradigm perspective where there's this one planet that we're all sharing and we're all connected via a quantum divine reality, and that we all have access to that, but that we can actually access a higher intelligence via our heart of compassion and empathy and, of course, intuition. It's all connected, right? In that regard of feeling and sensing being, and to dissolve some of the divisive construct. And even the idea, and I heard somebody talking about this, is like it's a very relevant thing because we often talk about divine feminine and divine masculine. And truly, 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 we are all human beings, feeling, sensing, connecting. And if we're in denial of what we're feeling, we're more than likely going to be creating certain realities to reflect that back. That's the whole point of observing patterns, mental, emotional patterns, and the way we interact with one another, and the types of energies and people that we pull in to teach us things, right? Like, it's just all there. Our entire reality is reflecting something back to us if we have the courage to perceive it and own it as our own. not to be hard on ourselves about the shitty patterns we might be creating. That's part of understanding ancestral wisdom. That's part of understanding healing multiple generations. That's part of understanding our broader karmic outpouring as divine infinite souls. If you believe in reincarnation, if you believe you've been here before, then we're likely running certain parallel timelines as multidimensional souls. This is again just part of the landscape of, you could even say, a neurodivergency, or a greater sense of accessing more adaptability in the actual, like, the synaptic firing of our brains. These are why practices like yoga and Tai Chi and things that allow us to be more adaptable and more fluid, martial arts, right? And merging East and West and unpacking our violent colonialist framework so that we can finally learn the lessons of our past, and or I would dare say our present here now, as we engage in things like genocidal wars and war crimes and justification and mass media gaslighting and manipulation, right? This is all part of the awakening. And as Uranus transits into Gemini, these awakenings are just going to keep happening to people. And people are more and more going to be walking away and breaking free from working for shitty corporations or corporations that enslave and use and manipulate. And people are going to be breaking free. Also, Uranian and Gemini, mutable energy. People are going to be changing up the work life, the thinking capacity, no longer tolerating. Because see, with Neptune and Saturn coming into Aries, we have fire and air. And think about, before we had a timeline with Uranus moving through Taurus and Pluto in Capricorn. So we had this really heavy earth stuff going on, right? As in the density, the real life, the earthly realm. And that's suddenly shifting into a fire and air. So that's another thing of expectation, to expect more radically explosive and massive natural disasters, which are picking up speed all the time everywhere. There again, these disasters can boom help us to awaken. And these again, why do we think meditation and nature and getting grounded? Because it helps us to stay present with really fast moving energies rather than getting potentially burnt out. And that's something I would dare to say my journey is teaching me, that has through experience taught me that when things get going and things get fast and things start to get elevated, you got to stay grounded and present in the same way you got to stay grounded and present with the lower densities. We can process pain, we can feel grief, we can have to let go of stuff, like, sucks, it's painful, but we want to stay neutral to the polarity of our own existence, which is going to be much pain, much joy. But in a weird thing, if we've spent a lifetime of pain and like less and lack and blue, then it goes the same on the other direction. So, for example, in my experience, when things got good, when things started to manifest and things, I got so ungrounded that my entire life collapsed. As in, I didn't have a home for a year, and I'm still running out this sort of process, right, and this pattern, and it's very much my own divine guidance and loving clarity, as in our own life is our own. It's our own heart and it's our own mind, right, that we're kind of grappling with in a sort of existential mystery, right? Okay, so we're looking at the cards here. Here I am shuffling the tarot, especially in more general readings. These are for fun and entertainment. um Divine guidance and love and clarity. And I think I'm live, I'm not 100%, but normally my Patreons would get this ad-free first access. And they get access to the courses, the top tier patrons, that is, and they get access to some exclusive content, plus it's obviously all there. So if you were to join now, you'd have content from the last few years. Divine guidance and love and clarity. There's other playlists as well. There's the yoga playlist, which top tier get access to. And then there's a small discount, like a 10% discount on working with me. So there's one patron who does regular yoga with me. There's another patron who books probably like maybe once or twice a year. Once or twice a year, they book readings. And again, it just gives you a little bit of a discount on that stuff. Divine guidance and loving clarity. I work very intuitively, always have. It's pure flow. It's pure just like service. It's like our own life is the service to humanity. Divine guidance and loving clarity. What do we got? What do we got? Whoa, it's all major arcana. So is this a major week? Probably. Are there big changes? Yeah, I would say so. I would think that's what the major arcanas are pointing to here. Divine guidance and loving clarity. We have the devil, we have the Hierophant, a major shift, maybe a move, the world upside down. There could be actual information that comes out via authority bodies, news from our governments, news from higher ups that for some people like flips their worlds upside down. Overcoming conflict, mental battle. Very much a collective message here that we're looking at, divine guidance and loving clarity. Divine guidance and loving clarity. Here we go. Here, oh, that's good. I just wanted to make sure this was still like happening, and it totally is. So what? Anyone that watched South Park? I'm thinking of South Park for some reason. There's a character like what in the what? Sorry. Welcome to this live video. So this is good to know that the Zoom is broadcasting well. FYI, I think there's a filter if I look a bit glossed over. I'm wrinklier in real life. Spottier. Okay, let's carry on with the cards because you're here for it. Again, I appreciate every single one of you. I feel a bit more emotionally robust having done 12 years of shadow work. So I do think I might just start doing a little bit more live shares. And some of you've just been here for years, and I appreciate every single one. So the devil, the Hierophant, a big, again, like messages coming in that really, truly, potentially flip things upside down. But it helps us to overcome conflict. So letting go of a world that we thought we wanted, maybe letting go of, or simply letting go of the mental conflict and the mental battle, and maybe that's people, places, and things that I'm getting a siphoning energy, like that pull energy from our personal reality, that siphon energy, that harvest energy, that are trying to take energy from our world. So there could be global information from governments, from news sources, right? Authority figures, authority bodies that turn our world upside down. Why the devil? Why we got the devil here? Holla, 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 my lovers. Yeah, I love that. Divine guidance, loving clarity. Why the devil? Some of us might be out of work, or this could be mass layoffs. This could be mass. Okay, mass. I think it would go both ways. So it's sort of both ways, but I actually feel this is more the people. And again, Uranus moving into This is tomorrow, my loves, July 7th. Uranus is moving into Gemini. The mind, inner and outer, the twins, inner and outer, right? So especially on a working level, on a resource level, the things we have to do for work. If those things that the good people of this earth are going to work and unbeknownst to them, working for the devil, working for the chains and the binds that bind them, then there's going to be a mass exodus in certain working paradigms. So, en masse, people leaving corporations that do harm, people exiting maybe things like the military war complex and all the different layers and levels and branches that work there. I get more officey type stuff. I get more like, yeah, banks, offices. Something just resounded there with bank. Maybe it's a message from the banks, even. Okay. This is the end of a cycle into desired manifestation for the things that you've been seeding. Okay. Oh, what did I just saw the the 7 of Pentacles is patience via our seeded intentions of growth. That could be even more practical for some of you, like actual seeding seeds in the garden to grow your own food. Uranus in Taurus has been enlivening more and more of that. So we're likely to see more and more kind of earth-centered communities lining up as well. Those of you who've been here for a while know that I'm all for it. Like I'm definitely somebody who's like practicing growing her own food and wanting to get more of a green thumb and essentially lining up with people like that uh, are endeavoring to be their own power source. And then growing and working with earth, right? Which is where we see there's a falsity, like on all the levels and layers. We can use earthwork, we can use spiritual work as a disguise and or projection, hiding us from our own shadow. And it really depends on like where we are in our own sense of ownership and responsibility of the power we have, not the earth herself and not the possessions, not the things. Where again, this is heart-centered creative energy where people might have the earth, they might have all the things, but if they're not regenerating, if they're not actually creating their intuitive desire, there's still loads of shadows there. And this is where empathic awareness comes in, where more and more of us, so the side of empathy and deep emotional awareness and intelligence are going to have to awaken to where we're disowning our own power and being used and or abused for our spiritual insight, awareness, and of course empathy, love and care and compassion and attention. Or people want to use that. And if we get entangled, if we get in distorted and or malaligned connections, we end up processing the pain of the unconscious. And that can be part of our path until it's not. Right? We can be hooked in, we can be used and abused until we're aware enough to not allow our energy to be used in that way, i.e., processing other people's karma for them, having to feel and experience the actual unconscious densities of other rather than holding space for ourselves to align with the truth of our being and our vision, which is a lifelong process. Let's be real. Like as a Capricorn rising, it's Alta Love is not like a flash in it's not like just a business like normal three-dimensional businesses, like just to make me profit. Alta Love is a heart-centered mesh out of compassion and like awareness. And yes, okay, call it spirituality, but to me it's just your life. We use this sort of language, I think, to somewhat aggrandize ourselves, like you are God, you are whatever. It's like, well, we're all one, we're all connected, we all feel a full spectrum of emotions. The deeper we feel our uglier or unsafe or traumatizing or painful emotion, the more clarity we can see other as well. And there's, in truth, I would say there's no judgment because it just is what it is. We all have GAC, we all have densities, we all have ancestral pain. But my increasing awareness is like living in denial of that pain, or trying to feed off other people to assuage our pain or to mask our pain. Or I put pain also, another word I'm getting is like irrelevance, that we're all relevant, that we all have a purpose just by being. But again, it's our own personal responsibility to shapeshift in or embody the perspective where even on my bad days I can be relevant. Even as I age as a woman in this world, I can be relevant and purposeful. Or oh yeah, that was another insight. Rather than purposeful, just have meaning. I think more and more of us are detaching from this hustle culture, like find your purpose. Like you're enough just by breathing. And just by breathing and existing on this miraculous, beautiful earth station, you are enough. You don't need a purpose. You're it. Just the heartbeat and just the breath. You're it. You're the purpose. But it's more, especially again in the enslavement paradigm, it's more about us feeling like there's meaning to it all. And that's different for everybody. Like the meaning is working through these patterns. The meaning is transforming energy. I don't know. The meaning is hanging out with people we love. The meaning, whatever. There again, that's some of our conscious control or mastery. That we can perceive it. You can perceive meaning in smelling flowers. Perceive meaning in looking at the sky and the stars, right? Perceive meaning in connections of our lives that come and go, and right? Like it's just all there for us. And holy Shazam, what a weird and wonderful existence, divine mystery. Jeez, it's just like that's discernment for my babas. My babas. Because again, increasing phone usage will have the potential to kind of fry our capacity for autonomous and or critical thinking. So be mindful, right, to continue to spend time in earnest dialogue with the people we love, and that includes you guys. So my internet friends, divine guidance and love and clarity. Divine guidance, love and clarity, what are the messages coming in for the week ahead? There's definitely a closure of a cycle. There are messages coming in. There's some justice here as well. No longer being woe is me. Moving forward in your chariot, divine guidance, Libra, Gemini, Aquarius, King of Swords, also a justice card. There could be inheritance, kickback. There's definitely been benevolent and or like some kind of maybe work opportunity. Just it feels a little bit more like a windfall, if I'm honest. There's the Ten of Pentacles here. And there's a King of Pentacles upright. There's definitely kind of positive outcome message coming in. This message coming in is definitely via loss, or like there's something, the chariot seems to be moving us forward out of victimhood as well. As in, we got the power. This is a deeper truth around manifestation that my own little spirit noggin has like often sussed, is that manipulating the system or marketing your services or just all the more scam type of energy is not, or like inheriting loads of wealth and being like I manifest. It's like, well, you do, like we do manifest, that is true, and yet there's a lot of layers that are more beyond our conscious mind and like so divinely miraculous that Yeah, and it requires a lot of honesty and vulnerability and a deep connection to your own spirit, which is this divine essence, right? A kind of connection to an over soul, a kind of connection to a divine wisdom. This is where we all have different pieces and purposes, or I'd say purpose, or like meaning within it all. For some people, they're engineer specialists and they're going to be really good at building this, that, or the other. For some of us, we're oracles and we're going to be really good at like visioning and seeing and holding space for the new earth and like allowing people to rise within their vision, right? So the horse card has come up. This has come up upright. This is often to me energy of adaptability. We think of like the way horses gallop and they'll often like change directions. There's one grace, adaptability, flow, right? Momentum. Now, again, there's messages coming in injustice in the upright, cutting out this old victim energy. And I'm sure I've heard like maybe Lee Harris or other teachers talking about this. Like, the more we rise, we rise. The more we expand our consciousness, the more we might perceive and or become aware of victimhood or lack, like needing to beg or needing to ask or needing. And that is something about also respecting boundaries, respecting different edges, where being really mindful of what people are actually asking of us and not necessarily overstepping that. As in things like, and I've seen other creators have reactions or talk about this too, like unsolicited advice. The internet is full of it, around people just being like, this is like, my mother recently had a heart attack and people expressing things on comments, which I just find interesting because these are not experts, these are not doctors, these are not whatever. And people like, this is how you need to live now. This is what you need to do. And it's like, gee, whizzicles, you know, we're just so unique that it's just interesting that with Google or with internet, somehow we're now all experts in all things, right? Which is interesting. Divine guidance and loving clarity with the justice energy. This is true justice. And I'm hearing like true north or something. So for some of us, we might be feeling more aligned and holy Shazam. There's some big release points happening, you guys, because there's all this major arcana activity. Not rushing, I'm hearing. Not rushing with the temperance and the ace of swords. Not rushing. You can't rush this new beginning. Okay, you can't rush the new beginning. And I say this because the world's still being flipped upside down. The world being flipped upside down. New information, mass exodus, changes in work situations. Toxic bosses, that kind of stuff. Walking away from corporate entities that are abusing and using people, wanting to align ourselves with a greater divinity and a greater power. New teachers, new wisdom speakers, new prophets, even I'm hearing, in a new authority that's attracting the people. And that this again is overcoming our old painful cycles of co-creation through mind, and then accessing greater autonomy in our thinking. Also, via AI, there's a liberation point, but it's not the way. Just like nothing outside of self is the way. It's always in your own heart, right? It's always how we're feeling and sensing and connecting to self. So the King of Swords upright, there's justice, there's good news coming in. For some of you, there could even be like, again, this is like not to be far-fetched, but a lottery win or inheritance. There's something coming in the back door. I'm hearing something coming back in the back door after a period of suspension and or long game, things that we have been waiting for, praying for, wishing for, hoping for. But it's not imbalance, and it's not coming from victimhood. It's coming from a miracle code. It's coming from a true sense of autonomy, justice, and mindfulness, that you're being guided on your own spiritual journey, that you've heeded the call that you might be walking away from a corporate entity, you might be walking away from toxic bosses. Maybe for some of you, it's walking away from a marriage, right? Codependencies on all the levels, right? So if we're walking away from those things, that was the old way of working and the old way of generating finance or income or resources, you're being shapeshifted. So you're no longer going to beg to be given to. You're simply going to stand in your power, know your truth, and then the stuff comes in. The lovers, there could obviously be a love relationship, maybe with an emperor type of energy. Yeah, and there's definitely like things are manifesting. The things you seeded 7 months ago, 7 years ago, even the things you've seeded are now coming true. Okay, divine guidance, loving clarity. What are the messages here? Breaking free from the prison of our mind. Wishing upon a star. Some of you might be in a bit of a dreamy phase. I do find this Neptune Saturn conjunction quite like dreamy and a bit intense, actually. Oh, weird. I just shuffled and it's all coming up the same. The Lovers card and the Six of Swords. So the moon is also a rewilding, feeling more connected to the cosmos, feeling maybe there's a little bit of beyond. I'm definitely getting like a beyond the veil type of energy. Like for some of you, you might be genuinely feeling more connected to spirit, more connected to the divine. And there could be movement forward, genuine. Some of you might be going to like an island to rejuvenate yourselves. Especially with that, it's like that's justice, that's feeling better, that's up leveling our lives, that's giving ourselves the space and time to think about our existence as well. A worthy cause to think autonomously. There's definitely a pondering, a reflection, introspection with the 12th house here. And then community. Some of you might have messages via your community as well. Or branching out a little bit, especially because there's so much release with all the 10 of Swords, 2 10 of Swords here, and 5 of Swords reverse. It's all reversed. So all these like inner conflict, inner battle, feeling like I can't go on, and bosh, it's released. There's a rejuvenation, and there's more divine, miraculous manifestations happening here for you because you have broken free from the prison of your mind. And you're more spiritually free, the horse energy. You're more able to just move like the wind and resource from beyond the veil. This is a big part of spiritual awakening. What does that even mean? It just means that as these beings, we're awakening to not just being these meat suits and part of like enslavement system, that we are conscious, that we're spirit embodied, that we share this beautiful planet, right? That this is where we can vision a future forward where certain boundaries dissolve or certain empires fall. You feel me, right? There's big change afoot, big change. We're in it now. This is revolutionary activity. This is part of being prepared to own your perception and become the creator. Why? Because you have power. How you focus your mind and where you put your attention. There's power in these things, right? To not put the dream outside of you and find the harmony within, knowing that you are at one with the creator, not in control. You're part of it. Thus, to own your creative perception. How are we perceiving the situation? That we can change. And part of the awakening or elevation is in kind of birthing and or like being open to the new vision, whatever that is for any of you at any moment. And there looks like there's some resources coming in here. So I've pulled from all the decks. I think we're wrapping it up. Yeah, for some of you, there could be a success in creative project. Bringing in like a drip feed of more resources, 10 of Pentacle. You'll feel it coming too, because there's like the Justice, the Chariot. You've been moving forward on this for a while, the long game. Finally reaping some rewards. This is justice. This is divine justice. This is like divine truth as well. For some of you, there's a lot of introspection and or maybe leaning into community or getting messages from within the community that help you make a decision. There could be news on the external plane, right? Like news from certain government bodies that are toxic or corporations like mass exodus for a higher order that's wanting to come in to help us overcome conflict. But this could also, for some people, maybe even a sense of en masse, turn people's worlds upside down. It's like, whoa, that's not the world at all. Wow, right? And then perceiving the reality that we're living. All right, my lovers. Thanks for being here, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful, magical week ahead. Check out obviously the shorts. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. Really, I don't know. I'm kind of just going through the motion, but I don't particularly vibrate. It's more kind of a curiosity at this point, like what's going on there. But anyway, but I'm on TikTok. I'm on TikTok posting the dailies. Those dailies usually get transferred to the shorts on the YouTube. The shorts just algorithmically seem to do better. I appreciate those of you who share my content, obviously who like, subscribe, and help me grow this channel and grow the brand. I appreciate every single one of you so much. It's been such a long journey on this internet webs. But we're still here, and I'm still feeling very guided to share and express from the heart to, you know, it's like a child, all to love. It's like giving birth to this child. Now it's a teenager. It's got its own kind of vibratory going on, and I'm just allowing it to be who it wants to be. And I'm kind of the mother, or as it were. So, learning as I go. Divine guidance, love and clarity. I hope you have a great week, you guys. Feel free to join my Patreon community. Feel free to go to the T-mail store to buy stuff. It's all eco. Okay. Thank God for T-mail. It's all aligned with my own brand values. As far as it's organic, like it's sustainably sourced. They do offer refunds. Even their packaging is all zero waste. It comes in paper packaging. There's t-shirts, hoodies, water bottles, notebooks. And then, of course, if you go to the website, you can book private readings with me. You can have a yoga consultation if you want to do regular yoga with myself. I work with people internationally. That's part of the beauty of the online world. And a lot of my clients are on the go a lot. They travel the world a lot. So when you work with or you find a teacher that you like, the online is quite nice because they can still practice with me wherever they are in the world. So that's fantastic. And I appreciate them immensely, obviously, as well. And you guys. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day. Nice to see you, Millie, Samuel, that way. Great to be here with all of you guys. Have a wonderful day. And I